Hello Aquarius friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my Aquarius September 2021 Astrology Must Knows. Definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com. That is your one-stop place to see all of the free goodies that I make for you each month. Also, if you would love to be a professional astrologer, if you, like me, are a homeschooler, as I've been for over 10 years, astrology has given me the luxury of being able to do this from home and be with my kids, and I can teach you how to do that. You will love my course, Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course. It's great for those of you who just want to do it for your hobbies as well. You can see all of this at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E, life.com. I also have free courses at that same site. Okay, so what do we have going on this month? I've got 2 admin notes to help you make the most of this video before we get into my nice list of must-knows. The first is that this is for you if Aquarius is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, your Mercury, even if it's your Venus or Mars. If you have a prominent placement in Aquarius, this chart that I'm using is one of your pieces of astrological truth. The second thing is that if you're a late degree Aquarius, especially the later late degrees, so we'll say around February 15th or so through the rest of the sign, then I definitely recommend that you also watch my Pisces horoscopes. And for you very late degree people, you might benefit from watching all astrologers, Aquarius and Pisces horoscopes to pick up pieces of your astrological truth. You have a more complex read. So definitely make the most of the different resources to see what's going on for you. Okay, so what do we have happening? The first big must know is these open stars that I've been talking about, excited about for a few months. We have just a little bit left of that through September 7th, and then we transition to the Mercury retrograde time. So we've got 2 distinct types of energy this month. Let's talk a little bit about both of them. From around July 7th through around September 7th, we've got the open stars. That means action, time for agreements, long-term decisions, clarity, making plans, launches, anything that needs forward movement. And as September 7th rolls around, everything starts to move backwards. Okay, so if you haven't done your big launches in August, you have a little bit more time, but do know that as soon as you move things forward, the retrograde is going to get you reflecting backwards. So what goes on in the Mercury retrograde? We've got opportunities and we have challenges. Some of the challenges that tend to come up are changes of plans. Things that seem certain get tested and may or may not work out. Sometimes they disintegrate. Machinery starts malfunctioning. Miscommunications abound, and things from the past that are not resolved tend to come back up to be reworked. But there are a lot of often untalked about amazing opportunities for Mercury retrograde. So we're going to talk about those now. Some of the things that I love for Mercury retrograde, this is a major must know. And when I say Mercury retrograde, it is really from September 7th on that these energies will be present, even though Mercury doesn't go retrograde officially until later in the month, because the pre-transit shadow period that deepens every day after September 7th brings along with it the types of things that go on in the actual retrograde, okay? So this time is amazing for a major must-know, is a free flow with no agenda. We are so hyper-scheduled in life and we say yes to everything and, just do, all the time is spoken for. And Mercury retrograde is a time where you have license to leave yourself unscheduled. I'm calling the theme of this month, make room for last minute magic, because the more you leave yourself unscheduled and know that any plans that you make, just make them tentative. Say, okay, let's make a tentative plan, not a set plan, because you or the other person you're trying to meet are likely going to have something come up that they have to address. So the more you have unscheduled, the more when something last minute comes up out of the blue, you can say yes to it because you've made room for that magic. And a lot of magic does come in the Mercury retrograde time, okay? So the more you can free flow with less agenda, the more you have room for that. Contrary to popular belief, Mercury retrograde can actually be an amazing time for travel. There just tend to be a lot of changes, gate changes, more likelihood that you'll miss your plane, just things that can change are likely to change. It's kind of like a modification of Murphy's Law. Instead of saying everything that can go wrong will go wrong, although you might feel like some of that is true too. Anything that can change probably will change, okay? And even things that you think couldn't. So if you can have a laid back vacation schedule or trip or not have attachment if things shift, and you can take your time and, focus on the details of things that might be changing, then you can have some very rewarding travel, and some of the travel might come out of the blue. That's a theme for August and September, actually, because of transits with Uranus, is that stuff can come out of the blue, and you might find that you're traveling as a last-minute plan. And if you've left room for that, then it's going to be easier, where you don't have to go through a whole rigmarole trying to cancel everything to make room for the magic that came in. Something else that I love, major must know about Mercury retrograde, is it's amazing for reorganizing and cleaning out. Since it's a time to go inward and backward, the things closest to you, so your home space, your workspace, your desk, everything in your immediate environment, makes you reconsider it, okay? Maybe you want to spruce up some things, small dollar items, just clearing out stuff in a very low stakes, short-term way are very much well indicated at this time. You might want to save your big expensive projects for like November-ish, because they tend to be better for having more clarity about what you'll want in the long term. And you'll have a brief window of trying to fit some of that in before we have Venus retrograde, which we'll get to when we talk later about stuff later in the year. But just to know that that's going to be coming too. Okay, something else that is a must know about Mercury retrograde opportunities is that you can reap benefits from past things that you did. That happens a lot. So it's basically business as usual, but with a very strong emphasis on Mercury-related things like research, studying, learning. This is an amazing time to study. It's an amazing time to take classes. If you're taking a class and it's short term, awesome, that fits the bill. If you're taking a class and it's longer term, that can also fit the bill, as long as it's a go at your own pace type of thing. If you have flexibility as to when you can study and when you can do your work, then it's perfect for this time. And you might really be interested in, teaching or learning or something like this. This is also an amazing time, a must know, that you'll find yourself reconnecting with people from the past, friends, family. You might see somebody that you met before and know them in a different context. Maybe you met them at work and now they become a friend, or maybe you met them as a friend and now you're wondering if there's something more to it. So changes in relationships are very common at this time. One of my favorite things that I like as a major must know with Mercury retrograde is that it really helps us to be right here and right now. Living life often requires strategy and looking ahead and trying to plan to make everything work. But when we're in the retrograde, it's very difficult to make plans for the future. And the further off in the future, the harder it is to plan. But it's also hard to plan even a few weeks down the road. So you get more very right here, right now, in the moment of what you have, what you've created, what you're blessed with, what's surrounding you, and possibly what you might want to apply some energy towards shifting if, as you slow down and look around you, you see some things that need some attention. Okay, so the major theme, again, leave your schedule light so that you can make room for the magic, this last minute magic that might want to come in. Okay, so another major must know is that we are resting between eclipse seasons. Okay, so it's September is the last month before we start eclipse season again in October. We have eclipses in November and December, and that season starts about 4 to 6 weeks before the first eclipse, which will be around October 1st is when the season starts. So you've got one more month of just sort of relaxing from the changes that happened for May, June, and July, leaving space, making space for the changes that are going to come in a couple of months, and it's just a nice little resting period. Okay, so I've had a lot of requests to bring back the visuals for the charts, so I'm doing that this month, and so let's take a little peek. Now, I am using one of the Aquarius charts, but it doesn't matter which one it is because all of the things I'm talking about are true for all early, middle, and late degree Aquarius placements, and if there's something different for some of you, I will let you know. Okay. So, the first thing I want to point out is that we still have a very crowded 7th and 8th house. Okay, now this is the early degree chart, but just to give you a peek, middle degree, still very crowded 7th and 8th, and even late degree, crowded 7th and 8th. Okay, so no matter where you are in the Aquarius spectrum, relationships are still front and center, for better and worse. Okay, so Mercury is going retrograde In the 8th house, for those of you who are in the earlier designation, and when I say early, I mean January born or 0 to 9 degrees. Okay, middle degree friends, you're going to have Mercury retrograde in the 8th into the 7th house. Middle degree are basically the first 10 or so days of February, or 10 to 19 degrees if you're watching for your moon or rising or one of those other Aquarius placements we talked about. And late degree placements, you're really going to have that centered in the 7th house. But what is the same for all of you is that going backwards in the relationship space is a theme for all Aquarius placements, okay? So what that means is anything unresolved in your relationship spaces are going to come up, okay? But that gives you opportunities to resolve these things. Also, things that could come up is help from the past, blessings from the past, positive things from the past. So maybe you're in a relationship and things have gotten a little stale, and then you and your partner go back to a place that where you fell in love, or you go back to doing things that you've done before, and the magic starts to come back again. So basically, anything you're looking for help with in your relationship space, or anything that comes up as an issue, looking to the past, either with past patterns or past solutions or anything like that, can help to give you answers now. Also, you might be considering, or once again reconsidering, whether you want to stay in the relationship that you're in. And although there are going to be exceptions to this, for the most part, if you're going to make a big decision about this, it might be better to wait until November, when the Mercury retrograde cycle has gone through and done all of its retrograde things, because people tend to change their mind a lot in Mercury retrograde. So most of September and pretty much all of October is going to be very heavy with thinking about things, reviewing the past, going over the past. But I've seen it happen so many times that someone starts out Mercury retrograde thinking they're going to break up with their partner, and then they didn't, either because I was like, wait, don't do it, or for other reasons they intuitively felt not to do it. And then by the end of it, they worked out the problem and the relationship is better than ever before. And that's what Spirit is seeking to assist with at this time. The unresolved things are just housekeeping things coming up, like a carpet being picked up that has been swept under. It gets a little messier at first, but sometimes you can work through them. And if not, you can get more clarity about what you want to do about the fact that you can't work through them as you get more into November. Okay, so other things that the 7th and 8th house can open up for you this month are helpers, people to delegate tasks to, collaborations, and the 8th house that is going to be predominant for all Aquarius placements also has to do with you and your money, you and your relationship with resources, like your family money, your investments, your anything having to do with sweepstakes or inheritances or anything like that. Government money, taxes, credit cards, your mortgage, those kind of things might need some work, and you might go back over things. People very commonly try to refinance during this time, and that can be fine, but in general, remember, signing paperwork during the retrograde can bring some challenges. So researching and looking into refis could be very beneficial now, and it's possible it's right timing for you. Got to tune into it, but in general, paperwork and the big decisions might make more sense as you get closer to November, when you can see the fine print. Fine print seems to be a little more hidden from us when we're in a Mercury retrograde. Our tendency to be hurried and harried and, missing important pieces of information are increased at this time. Okay, so another major must know is that these planets here, well, specifically we're talking about, let me just get all that out of there. Okay, so the Sun and Mars are going to trine Pluto. We've got a beautiful series of trines with these outer planets here, Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter. Okay, so the Sun and Mars are going to trine Pluto. Then you're going to have Mercury come and trine Saturn, and then trine Jupiter, and then it's going to trine Jupiter again in November because it's going to retrograde and then go back over that point. Okay, you're going to have Venus has already done its trine with Saturn in August, but it's going to come and trine Jupiter. Okay, so we've got this series of beautiful trines here, and this is again going to accentuate your relationship sector. So what that tells us is that yes, there might be conflicts that come up, but there also are likely to be very, very big solutions. Okay, so that's the one big takeaway. The second thing to note is that your space of, let's get all this out of here so we can see this a little better. Okay, so the first house is very strongly aspected, especially for those of you in the early sector. See how this shifts? Look at where Pluto and Saturn are now for middle degree and for late degree. Okay, so this is one of the big differences in Placidus charts. When we're not doing whole house charts, when you get later in the sign, the positioning of especially outer planets change. Okay, so let's just look at that again really quickly. Look at these aspects that are happening with Saturn and Jupiter are accentuating the first house for early degree placements. But those planets shift back into the 12th house for the middle and late degree placements. Okay, so what that means is that if you're a February born, those are the middle to late degree placements, there's going to be extra blessings and extra chances for breakthroughs in your psychological space and in the hidden realm. See, one of the differences between the middle and late degree in this chart is that for the early degrees, so basically the January born are 0 to 9 degrees, and then the middle and late are like 10 to 29 degrees, or February born. The early degrees, this is like in your house of out there, like your physical body, your how people are seeing you, your image, things that you're taking action on out where everyone can see. All right, so for the February born though, when we go back into this 12th house, a lot of this stuff is inside your mind, and you're not quite as ready to push some of this out into the external space. So for all of the Aquarius placements, but especially for the February born, this is like the Harry Potter time of realizing that your demons are inside of you and slaying your demons inside of you so that the ones that appear to be outside start to dissolve on their own weight. Okay, so this, for better and worse, can bring riches from your psychological space for you February born. Okay. Now, for some of you, that might entail having to get some support for, healing and clearing up ancestral belief systems. You can pretty well see the things that you believe in life by the things that go on with you. All right, this is something really important to understand about self-development. If you believe something, whether it's conscious or unconscious, whether it's something you were imprinted with from your childhood and you don't even know you believe it, it's going to show up in your life. So this is a time, especially for the February born, where you want to really ask those questions, like where are the things outside coming from? Now, for those of you in the January born, you're more in a space of like, okay, everything is out there now, and now what am I going to do about it, right? But remember that a lot of these aspects are nice aspects. So although there's like some tumult in getting things worked out, we just got done talking about how there are all these trines going here. All right, so either which way, no matter what process you have to go through to get to the positive end of it, you've got blessings that are in store and that are waiting throughout the whole month. Okay, so a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about. One has to do with the fact that we have many more salty aspects than we do sweet ones. And what that's going to mean is you're going to feel the bumps. Okay, this is like driving on a street in a residential neighborhood where there are like 15 bumps, what do you call them? Speed bumps in the road. And you're going along and then you're like, a bump. Okay, then you're going, you can't pick up speed, and then there's a bump. Okay, it's going to be like that in September. But if you know that going into it, then when they happen, you don't have to be completely shocked and thrown off. You can be like, oh, there are those bumps that Annie was talking about. But again, because we're not having major clashes of the outer planets as much as we do in other months this year, it's just nuisance bumps. Okay, so these are things to get through, and things that bring you right here, right now, which is definitely a blessing of this time. Okay, so one other thing to be aware of is with these strong Virgo energies. Let's look at that again. Let me just erase this. The Virgo energies make an awkward angle for Aquarius placements, all right? And since Virgo can bring criticism, you might be feeling criticized by people in your relationship space. Okay, I'm using the middle degree chart, but this is true for everybody. So just kind of be aware that you might fall under scrutiny, but that it will pass and that you can get valuable information from this process if you can try to not take things too personally. The last must know is that all of these planets that move through Libra, and then these are going to follow at some point there, are going to kiss your Aquarius placements. So in general, whenever we have a predominance of air signs, there is an extra special flow for your placement because the personal planets come and give you kisses. So what that can look like, Venus giving you a kiss, could be a boost to money, could be an awareness of your self-confidence that can help you to generate more income because you believe in yourself. It could possibly be somebody else believes in you and that gives you the courage or the impetus to move forward. Then when you have Mercury kisses, that can be nice pieces of information or insights or boost to your writing or creative space. Then you've got the sun, and then the sun is going to, and you know, the sun kisses will come for the early degree placements. So basically January born, you'll have your sun kisses in September, towards the end of September, but the rest of you will get your sun kisses in October. Okay, so the kisses from these air placements are going to start in September, but then you'll have them in October. Okay, so those can be just blessings, people speaking your language, more accord, harmony in your relationship. So it looks like there are some things to get through, but once you get through those things, you can really soar. And there are special extra blessings all month and into October for trying to get the money that you need, getting the investment strategy that you need, getting a handle on your finances, dealing with debt, you know, getting taxes worked out. All of those things have extra special blessings at this time. And one more piece is that those Libra planets are accentuating for Aquarius the 9th house of Sagittarius, which is travel and teaching and learning and adventures and optimism. So very often when we have planets transiting in our 9th house, we have a renewed sense of hope. We have ideas for having solutions that crack through persistent old habits and ways of seeing things, you know, a fresh perspective, and doing something to get yourself to have a fresh perspective, like travel or like even taking a different path to work or walking in a different way. Anything you can do to shake up your perspective a little bit is going to go a long way in you feeling better and also figuring out ways to change things that had been problems for you before. If you would like a list, a written list of all of the aspects of this month, what they are, what the dates are, what the sweet and salty dates are, what you can expect from the aspects delivered into your inbox 1 month early, definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com and sign up for my free email newsletter. Okay, so I've given you lots of information about the energies at work and play this month to help you make the most of the potentials. If you'd like even more information, go to anniehelpsyou.com. That is the interface for all of the free goodies that I make for you each month. Also, if you would like to be an astrologer as your profession, if you're a homeschooling parent, if you want to stay working from home, if you want to make your own hours and earn money from your love for astrology, I can help you do that. Check out my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery course at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E, life.com. This course is great for you even if you don't want to do this work as your profession. If you just want to help yourself, your own self-development, help your family and friends, you can learn everything you need to know in that course at lumelife.com. Also, I have lots of free courses at that site, so you can check out all of more free goodies there. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.